Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. There is a lot in here. Another super long video with lots of information. You're not going to believe it. I swear to God. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Queen Camilla. She met with members on Corsham. They organized a display of 30,000 knitted poppies. The Queen was joking around with the volunteers, saying they have poppies coming out of their ears while she was visiting their community project. She also said she was very impressed by Poppy Project. It's a display of knitted and crocheted flowers created to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. The Peacock Women's Institute launched the project at the start of the year with the goal to create 10,000 poppies for display in the town. The group then received more than 31,000 poppies from across the UK and overseas, including from schools, youth organizations, residential homes, and businesses. She met volunteers and members of that group. She said the project was a lovely idea, and she agreed to attach the final poppy to complete the cascade of the flowers from St. Bartholomew's Church. She also said it's lovely because all the generations worked together, and they did give Camilla a poppy wreath for her home. And also, as you just saw, Camilla laid a wreath at the church's First World War memorial with a note reading, "In remembrance, Camilla R." Now, there were a lot of people lined up to see her. She was in doggy heaven. There were dogs all over the place. It was like people knew how much she likes animals, and they all showed up with their animals to meet Camilla. Wow, look at those crowds, and look at all the beautiful flowers she got. Now, after that, the Queen visited Martingale Shopping Center, where they have opened a dedicated poppy shop to provide free knitting lessons and coordinate community involvement. Now, of course, after the poppy shop, Queen Camilla was taken on a tour of the town by Elaine Dent, who is the president of the Peacock Corsham. So she took Camilla around and said she was very honored that the Queen accepted their invite and that she was her host for the morning. Now, when Camilla came out of the poppy shop, she was greeted by even more crowds of people who had lined up to meet her. Now, when she was done with this particular area, Corsham, she headed to Bromham, where she officially opened a new community hub. The new building was constructed to replace the old center, which was burned down in a fire a few years ago. Also, while she was there at the community hub, Camilla was gifted with some gorgeous paintings of past and present dogs by one of the talented artists there. How wonderful is that? And then, of course, on top of that, Camilla unveiled a gorgeous plaque before she left with some beautiful flowers in her hand. I think all in all, for a single visit by herself, I think it went very well. Let's move on. We're going to move on now to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, who had an investiture at Windsor Castle on Tuesday, October 28th. This is the 26th investiture of the royal family for 2025. William did 7, Charles did 7, and all the other ones were done by Princess Anne. Now, sticking with Princess Anne, you may not know that she and her fabulous husband, Sir Tim Lawrence, are set to take a tour of Australia and Singapore in November. This was announced by Buckingham Palace. This visit is going to mark the 100th anniversary of the Royal Australian Corps of Cygnus, of which the Princess Royal is Colonel-in-Chief. She is going to undertake a series of military engagements across Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane during their 4-day visit to commemorate the centenary. This will be November 8th through the 13th. All right, next up, remember I told you about the book and the claims that this Maxwell woman did something with George Clooney? Well, it's being said now that George Clooney is absolutely furious, saying that he's just absolutely boiling with anger. This is a grotesque fabrication. It didn't happen. And now, this is the kind of guy who has money for lawsuits. So, she may be gone, but her words could end up with, there could be some legal stuff here. We'll see. All right, let's revisit the whole housing situation with Andrew and Sarah. In case you forgot, Miss Carbetsdale, who owns a castle offered the castle to Andrew, but now she's had to rescind her offer because she's received such a hostile response with all kinds of threats. Now, in the meantime, Sarah's friends are saying Sarah has nowhere to go. She has nobody to go with. She fears for her future. What's coming out is she's very contrite and embarrassed, but she fears that this scandal has fatally damaged her business interests, including some new fictional books that are due to come out. People don't want to be associated with her, so therefore she'll have no income. They're saying that while the king is a very kind man, his patience has been pushed to the limit, and so there are some reports that Fergie could be handed Adelaide Cottage by the royal family if she agrees to move. Now, King Charles is going to have a lot to answer for because people are saying, why should he give houses to two non-working royals who have brought nothing but shame to the royal family? What's going on? Why is anybody helping them? Well, word out is that they know where the bodies are buried, so to speak. Basically, they're threatening them. If you don't give us some place to stay, if you don't help us out, we're going to start giving interviews, we're going to start writing books, and we're going to release all of your secrets. And so King Charles is worried that maybe Andrew has given assurances that he won't write a book, but Sarah has not given those assurances. And people are saying that she is demanding a royal home because for 30-something years she was a duchess, even though she divorced Andrew. Somehow I can believe that. What's being said, just as an FYI, is that the demands of separate houses are not true, but alternative accommodations are being secured for Sarah Ferguson. It's also being reported the palace offered her that cottage back in May, but other royal sources have refuted it, saying it was never offered. But they have offered Andrew to move into Frogmore Cottage, which is where they've been trying to move him, and it looks like he is going to go. William and Catherine, they're saying, are going to have to compromise. They don't want Andrew anywhere on the grounds of Windsor. Unfortunately, Windsor gives him privacy, keeps him away from the photographers, and gives him security, something that he still needs to have. Let's face it. I do think it's pretty obvious that at this point, the whole facade is crumbling. I agree with this comment. Otherwise, why wouldn't Fergie simply move into Frogmore with Andrew? Well, because Andrew doesn't have a big 30-room mansion anymore. She had her own wing there. Really quickly, I do not believe this story one little bit. I don't believe William threatened to strip Eugenie and Beatrice's titles unless they helped their father see the light and make him move. I don't believe that for one little bit. Do I believe the other articles know that now they're in turmoil over their parents' actions and they're probably questioning their parents about what has really gone on and visits that they went on to see Epstein? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would be. Now, it's being said that the best chance for the two girls to maintain visibility within the royal family is to attend key events like Christmas while keeping a low profile in other public-facing royal duties. That they face a very awkward situation because Prince Andrew is no longer welcome at the main family events, but, and we know why. He actually hosted Epstein, Maxwell, and Harvey Weinstein at the palace, at Balmoral, at Sandringham. These people were all over the place. This man showed a real lack of just basic common sense. And as for the rest of these stories, I don't believe them. I don't believe Andrew had the staff bow to him. Let's move on. All right, let's move on to this whole Harry-Meghan thing. First of all, people are noticing that Harry, who once traveled the world on behalf of the crown and attended major state events and met with world leaders, now he's jobless and he's reduced to pumpkin carving on Meghan's Instagram account. They're saying that Harry looks defeated and he really doesn't do anything but sit around his house. Well, he put the video out, remember, of him carving the pumpkin? And they're saying that the kids' faces were in the video, which they were. I'm slowing it down, and the kids were running back and forth in the background, and then the pictures were put out. Does anybody believe that that was done accidentally? Because I don't. Meghan broke her promise never to put the kids' faces on social media. Now, of course, she's claiming that this was absolutely accidental, but I think the timing is just a little suspect. I mean, supposedly the kids' faces were put out there right as she's dropping her Christmas stuff on her As Ever. Now, apparently, it's being put out that Meghan was scrambling to change the footage within hours. As soon as she realized the children's faces were on there, that it was a genuine mistake. But again, it's convenient timing with Meghan's As Ever launch. It's just too convenient. The clip gets attention, the internet explodes, and suddenly Meghan's brand rollout is on everyone's radar. As well as the fact that she was wearing over $1,600 worth of clothing while pumpkin patch, picking, which just goes to show you how out of touch she is. Now, a big thank you to Resting Dollface for finding this. There's a company online. You can look at it above. Did you know that back in April, they put up a statement saying, thank you to As Ever. They basically went around and did a white glove delivery to some of, who knows who she delivered to. It was probably her attorneys. Here, have some free jam. Now, we all know what happened. Meghan is ready to go it alone because she wants to make a success of her business. So she dropped her videos and she suddenly put everything up that she was putting up for sale. So let's take a look at the videos. To start with, once again, she's walking through an unnamed forest with a fruit basket with her pinky diamond hanging in the wind while she's pulling fruit. Then we see her making, yet again, another parfait. How many of those have we seen? I mean, really. Then we get a glimpse of what's coming for her Christmas special. She's wrapping gifts. She's lighting candles. Look at her go. Oh, this is just going to be the best. Okay, once again, let's look at some of the things that I noticed. Number one, again, she's wearing this humongous 2 or 3 carat square cut diamond pinky ring that she makes sure everybody is absolutely able to see throughout her entire video. And her nails, by the way, look like they're press on. Now, I couldn't help but think while she was doing this, playing around with the tree, that this looked really familiar. Where have I seen this before? Oh, yeah, I have seen this before. Copycat much? And I'll tell you another copycat move. Do you guys remember this? Meghan walking through the woods, communing with nature, reaching up to grab some apples or something. Does that remind you of anything? I mean, it's very obvious at this point that she's getting all of her ideas from Catherine. Then you start to see some of the other stuff that she's selling in some of the pictures. Now, you guys remember when she was at Godmother's bookstore and she took over for her friend who was pushing her book. And she said a lot of things, and I kept wondering, why is she saying that? Well, now we know why. Listen to this.
I always travel with a candle. I am so conscious and sensitive to fragrance. And for me, I associate that with home. And so any space that I'm in, I love to, I love music and I love scent. Yeah. And then a candle, always. And don't forget matches if you're going to pack a candle.
Now you can stop the screen and read the descriptions for yourself, but one candle number is for her birthday and the other candle number is for her wedding. God. All right. Now I want you to hear this.
Oh, on the stove, there's a pot of spiced cider brewing. You have that brewing, not like the hot toddy or spiced cider on the stove. Not only does it take the pressure out for you of having to serve everyone, it also makes your house smell incredible.
So that, my friends, is why she took over her friend's book launch so she could talk about her stuff. Now, another video came out. She's giggling in her room. She's showing the dog sleeping, looking out the window. That's her office. Remember, notice everything is beige, but did you notice that on the desk? That's right, her royal cipher. Remember, she's not really attached to that stuff. I still have not figured out why Meghan Markle thinks that anybody would buy her overpriced products and then have to wait weeks for it to arrive due to shipping, when I can go to the store, get better products for less money, and walk home with it in my buggy. I haven't figured that out yet. All right, let's move on. All right, now this final story is very interesting. We'll have to talk and get what you guys think about this. But when she was a working royal, remember on one of her outings, there was a label hanging from the dress. Everybody saw it. And so the thought process was maybe she borrowed the dress. Maybe she accepted a free something to borrow, although accepting free clothes was strictly forbidden. Protocol did allow for working royals to receive clothing on loan that was later returned. So they said this wouldn't have been unlikely if Meghan was working with a stylist who contacted PR companies or brands directly to ask if they could borrow a piece on their behalf. However, well, when Meghan was in the Hamptons and she took a picture in this outfit, which absolutely swallowed her up, and they're saying that was not a coincidence, that the clothing that Meghan was wearing was probably a sample pair and therefore you couldn't alter it. But there's a problem with this theory. When Meghan was a working royal, she spent £700,000 or $1 million on clothing in her first year as a working royal. 10 times what Catherine did in a year. So why would she be borrowing designer dresses to keep up? Meghan even linked her ridiculously expensive clothing on her Shop Me store, which she, by the way, quietly shut down earlier because there was a lot of speculation that she really didn't own enough of her own clothes to keep the online shop running. The truth is she's trying to keep up with very wealthy neighbors and she's having trouble. So yeah, she should just give it up at this point. Now I want to finish this video by talking about Marcus Anderson. You know how Diana said there were 3 in the marriage and it was kind of crowded? I could totally see Harry saying that. Now, this is one of Meghan's friends from way back. But when Harry and Meghan were dating, Marcus Anderson was there. When they got married, Marcus was there. When she had her baby shower, when she goes to Invictus, Marcus is there. When she went to New York to pick up her award from GoFlow or whatever she calls herself, Marcus was there. She goes to get another award. Marcus is there. I mean, this guy went on vacation with them to Disney. He accompanies Meghan to baby showers. He goes to talks that she's having in other states. Hell, he went with her to Paris. So I can totally see Harry saying, there were 3 of us in this marriage and it's a little bit crowded because this man never goes away. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.